Hey there. Today the moon is in Sagittarius, and that shift of outer planet Uranus from Taurus into Gemini happens just after midnight Pacific, around 12:45 a.m. Pacific time, after the moon forms its opposition to Uranus in those final 2 minutes of Taurus on Sunday afternoon, as well as that moon going into Sagittarius at 3:05 p.m. Pacific on Sunday. And so right before that, it forms its opposition exact to Uranus. And then it forms an opposition to Venus, which is hanging out there by Uranus, slowly beginning to move away from its conjunction with Uranus. So anyway, that energy of the moon in Sagittarius brings a bigger picture of integration and making meaning and telling the story of what has been unfolding in recent days. I'm Marina Orms here with your Astro Vibe for Monday, July 7th. So, big news is that Uranus is going into Gemini today. And I do have an in-depth video on the energy of Uranus going into Gemini, so I won't dwell on that. But I also recommend yesterday's video, Sunday, July 6th, on the upcoming Capricorn full moon, but also touching on this shift of Uranus from Taurus into Gemini and really how to think of the Uranus in Taurus energies and vibes and how they are different from Uranus going into Gemini. So definitely check out yesterday's video if you missed it, a little more of a deep dive into just a touch point on Uranus and Gemini, and then the significance of this week's full moon in Capricorn, activated by Neptune stationing retrograde, Neptune now retrograde to activate that Saturn energy of boundaries and limits and rules and structures, systems, organizing, and plans. So yesterday's video is where you can get more detail about that. All right, so thinking about today's Sagittarius moon that is, on Sunday, activating its opposition to Uranus and Venus. So really activating some of those energies I was talking about yesterday. And then with today, the moon going through Sagittarius, where we reflect. So with the moon in Sagittarius, we get that bigger picture, that bird's eye view. It's where we take the pause, take the deep breath, we sit down, and we reflect on what has been transpiring. And we get to digest, process, integrate, and make meaning. So, what does it mean? What is the significance? How does it affect me? What is the story I'm going to tell about what is unfolding and what is transpiring? How does that story change based on what I've been learning in recent days? So, last week, we had quite a bit of shakeup energy and maybe some wake up calls. And I talked about that in Friday's video on July 4th and the intense Independence Day. And of course, the days leading up to that with the moon in Libra and so on. But now we get a little bit more of a bird's eye view to perspective to see the bigger perspective, what it means, what kind of impact it has, and how we're going to think about it, right? We're not yet to the point of what we're going to do about it. That's more when the moon goes into Capricorn. But Sagittarius is how does this shape our thinking? How does this shape our understanding of what is true, what we're dealing with, what is the meaning of events that have unfolded recently? And we had the Libra energy of the Libra moon with themes of compromise and wanting to please and um, how we show up in relationship and that need for balance and how it can have a lighter side and a darker side, right? Because that desire to please others sometimes means that we are overly compromising or not taking a stand or standing in our power, which is itself a kind of imbalance. So, to bring real balance, we need to also find that Aries will, that self determination, that courage, and when we bring that courage, sometimes to balance a need to, the tendency to give up or to compromise too much or to become a doormat or a people pleaser, we that is unbalanced as well, right? It's unbalanced to take up too much space, right? To be dominant or domineering, but it's also unbalanced to not take up space where we need to be taking up space, to be authentic and to silence ourselves when we need to speak up and things like that. So real balance is about really being thoughtful about, hey, what is the right and true path through whatever it is that is in front of me, which by definition is going to, it's you're always in the present moment, someplace you've never been because of you're stepping into the future. So how are you going to create the future in this present moment? What does balance look like for you in this present moment? And how are you making decisions? So that's some of the themes that we had going on last week while the moon was in Libra on Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday, the moon went into Scorpio, bringing more intensity. And that was the intense Independence Day of July 4th. And as well, we also had a Venus conjunction to Uranus in the final degree of Taurus. We also had Neptune stationing retrograde. I've been talking about all of that in recent videos, highlights on from my videos for Friday, July 4th and Sunday, July 6th, especially. Those are the ones you want to not miss. And then today, right? So the Scorpio energy on Friday, Saturday, and much of Sunday took us into that deeper dive to feel our feelings, process our feelings, work on finding that place of truth and honesty and trust building. And now we get to step into the Sagittarius energy that feels a little lighter, getting out of that Scorpio. So Scorpio is the emergence. It ends in the emergence of the butterfly from the cocoon. Sometimes being in that Scorpio energy feels like you're in the cocoon, you've lost your old identity, and you don't know what happens next. So that is how Scorpio moon can feel Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then Sunday afternoon around 3 p.m., the moon went into Sagittarius, taking us into, okay, now we have these wings, the butterfly, right? Out of the cocoon, we're going to fly. What are we going to see? What does the world look like with wings? So we get to now sit down, right? Like I said in the beginning, sit down, pause, reflect, ask ourselves, what is going on? How does it affect my thinking, my understanding, and my beliefs? So how am I changing my thinking? How am I updating my understanding of the current situation I'm in? How am I adapting or adopting my beliefs or flexing my beliefs to expand into what is in front of me? Again, coming back to that reality, the reality factor of what are the limitations I have to deal with that speak to this Thursday's full moon in Capricorn and dealing with reality. But for now, Today, Sagittarius Moon, bigger picture, reflecting, integrating, thinking about our thinking and what is changing about our thinking and our understanding and our beliefs and how we should be thinking about things. So that is the Sagittarius Moon for today. And self-care looks like what? It looks like reflecting. It looks like taking care of yourself so that you can do that pause. Ask yourself, what is the meaning? How does it affect my understanding and my thinking? And where do I need to get on board with the thinking that is going to help me meet the demands of the future and create that future in the way and shape that future in the way that I want to see it unfold? All right, thanks for being here. I'm Marina Orms, and I have space for readings over the summer. So book a reading at astrologyheals.com. Check out my member site and all the amazing resources I have there. Links are in the description for this video, as well as those videos from July 4th and July 6th that I will link in there as well. Thanks for being here and for subscribing. I so appreciate you. And I will see you next time with more astrology for unshakable self-care. Bye for now.